So welcome to our class today, Gentle Yoga. It's the end of September, and I'm here in Ontario. Some of you are joining from other places around the country or the world, or joining on the replay. And I just had the privilege of being away near Algonquin Park for a 4-day retreat that I was facilitating. And during that retreat, the fall colors were absolutely incredible. And through the weekend, the leaves were starting to fall and rain down on us when we were doing our outdoor yoga, and it was very, very magical. And of course, really lovely to be with people in real life doing yoga. Nice to be online as well, but always nice to feel that in-person heart connection of being able to look each other in the eye and be together. So I'm very lucky to have had that experience this past weekend. And it really did a lot of reflecting on how the leaves fall at the end of the season, and they're no longer needed for the tree. The tree just lets them go. And as human beings, often when we sort of outgrow something or we no longer need it, or whether that's an object or a way of being or relating in the world, we often still hold on to it, right? Even though we no longer need it. It's hard for us to come into change and to let things go. So today we're going to work with the breath a lot. We're going to maybe even identify something in our lives that we'd like to let go of and dedicate the practice to simply letting it go like the leaves fall from the tree. It doesn't have to be a big ripping apart or gnashing of teeth, but just a simply letting go like the leaves let go from the trees in the fall. And then the leaves themselves become compost on the ground. They grow into something new. And that gives the tree the space in the spring to bring forth new energy and new life. So when we hold on to what's no longer serving us, we cut ourselves off from the possibility of what could be and what we could make space for if we do let go. So we're going to start on our mats, lying down on our backs. So I'll meet you there. Oh, and there's one more person joining, so I'm going to let her in. And I think we're good to go. So we will meet on the mat, lying down on our backs, and start from there. The camera should automatically adjust to the light. There we go. So you're going to come down, lying down on your back. You can let the hands come onto your belly. And take a moment to settle here. Make any adjustments you need to be comfortable. So with our theme of releasing of what we no longer need, we can use the breath as a metaphor for that. So without necessarily identifying anything in particular yet, take a few slightly deeper breaths and focus a little more attention on your exhalation. So feel that you fully exhale, releasing tension, releasing holding in your body. Exhale, soften, sink down, letting go. And then if there is something in particular that feels like you'd like to let go of it, and it could literally be a physical object. Maybe it's some clutter in your house that you've been meaning to release but haven't got around to it. Maybe it's some specific relationship or way of relating that's no longer working for you. So if there's something you can identify that you'd like to release, bring it into your mind. You don't want to dwell on that thing, but just have the intention as you exhale, letting it go a little bit more. And we'll return to this theme as we move through the class. We'll start now by bringing the hands down to the sides, palms facing the ground. And as you start to breathe in, lifting your arms straight up, bringing the backs of the hands toward the floor. You can bend your elbows if that's helpful. And then as you exhale, bring the arms back down to your sides. And you can choose to do this movement coordinating, inhaling up, exhaling down, or you can choose to breathe and move freely. So if you want to move at a pace that's different from your breath, that's fine. And then we'll start to bring each knee in, alternating sides as we bring the arms down. So the arms will lift as you breathe in. As you exhale, one knee comes into the chest, hands can come around the knee. And then the foot to the floor, arms raised with your next breath in if you're coordinating breath, and then exhale, other knee comes in. So you're inhaling and exhaling, alternating knees coming in towards the body. Continue one or two more times until you end up with your right knee hugged in towards your body. And you can pause there, holding on over the shin, or if it's more comfortable, bring your hands behind your thigh. And if it feels good for you, you can stretch the other leg straight out on the ground. Try to keep that leg active, so your heels on the ground, toes point toward the ceiling. Pause here. And then you can take one hand onto the knee, so it would be your right hand on your right knee, and do some circles. You can start with little circles. And if it feels good to you, you can make those circles a little bigger. Maybe keeping the hand on the knee, but also maybe moving the hand away from the knee if you want to make an even bigger circle. And then try going the opposite direction for a few rotations as well. Right, and then coming back to the center. Right hand on the knee will let the knee move down towards the floor on the right side. Bring it back to the center and then switch hands. Bring your right knee into your left hand. Bring it just across the center of your body and then back into the right hand. Back into the left hand. And then if you want to add a little bit more here, you can add a bit of a twist. So as you bring the leg across the body, you can roll onto your left hip, bringing the knee across toward the ground, and then back onto your back, over to the other side. And a couple more like that. Okay, and then maybe on this last one, if you want, you could stay for a few breaths. If you prefer to not stay in the twist, you could maybe do a few more dynamically. And if you're staying in the twist, you bring your foot either to the floor, to the opposite leg. You can support with your hand under your leg if it's too much to come all the way down. And then eventually coming back onto your back, bringing that foot to the floor, you'll want to bring the other foot to the floor now and lift the hips up. And then lowering the spine and the hips back down, trying to find that alignment with your whole spine and hips now after the twist. Well, let's take a breath in and reach the arms again over the head. And as you exhale, the other knee, left knee now coming in towards the body. Pausing there. Again, you could hold behind the thigh if that's more comfortable than over the shin. And also, if you like, you can extend the right leg on the ground. Right leg stays active, heel pressing down, toes pointing up towards the ceiling, and you're breathing here. And then with your left hand on your left knee, starting with some little circles for that hip, and gradually, if it feels good, you can make those circles bigger, maybe even letting the hand slide away from the knee if you want. Even more movement here. One direction a few times, and then go ahead and circle the other way. So you can keep those circles small if you feel better with that, or make them bigger. Really listening to your body. And it's not about making a particular perfect shape with the postures, but tuning in and noticing what feels good in your body right now. And then you can take the knee over to the left, into the left hand, maybe pass it to the right, coming a little across the center, going side to side a few times, and then perhaps you'd like to add that little bit of a twist, rolling onto your right hip, bringing the knee across the body, and then back out to the other side. And take your time to find the movement that feels good for you right now. So if there's something else your body wants to do rather than what I suggest, it's always fine to follow your intuition. Follow the guidance of your own body, your own messages. Okay, and then if it feels good, you could stay for a few breaths in that gentle twist. If it feels better to keep moving, then go ahead and keep moving side to side. Or go back to the circles, again, listening to your body for what might feel the best. And then gradually you'll make your way back onto your back. You'll bend both knees with the feet on the floor, and you'll want to probably lift and shift your hips back to what feels like an aligned position. And then arms back down at your sides. We'll take a breath in, reach both arms up. As you start to exhale, bring your lower back toward the ground and lift both knees towards the chest, bringing one hand to each knee, and we'll draw the knees in. And then straighten your arms to move your knees away that little distance, and then bend your elbows to move your knees back in. Well, depending on how much movement is in your hips, or how much space you have with your belly, it may be a smaller movement rather than a bigger movement. I mean, it's a pretty small movement either way. It may be even more limited. You could also try some circles here. So the idea here is massaging the lower back and the back of the hips with the movement. So if there's other movement that would facilitate that, like rocking side to side, finding what would feel good to you. And then gradually let your feet come back to the ground. And we'll take the right ankle now and place it just above the left knee on the thigh. You can take your right hand and gently press away with your right thigh. And then if you still feel like you want a little bit more stretch here, you'll want to bring the legs closer to your body. So you could raise the left foot from the floor and place a block or a blanket or a book under that foot. Or you could reach your hands, right hand between your two legs, left hand around the outside, and either clasp your hands behind your leg or use a belt to extend your arms a little longer if you need it. So once there, check that your head has not hyperextended in the neck so that your head is back. Tuck your chin in a little bit. And if you feel that it's difficult to be in this position once you've lifted your arms, to keep your head in a little lined position. You may want to bring a blanket or a pillow underneath your head. You can rock a little side to side here. Great. And then if you're holding the leg, you're going to release and bring the foot back to the floor. And instead of uncrossing the legs, we're going to cross them further now. So you're going to take your top leg, your right leg, and bring it right over. So thigh meets thigh, knee is over knee. From here, you can bring both knees in. If it's possible, reach behind both thighs. If not, you can hold on to the closest knee. Again, give yourself a little hug here, squeezing the knees in. Slowly release. You'll uncross your legs. The hands can rest on your belly or rest on the floor. Bring your knees and your ankles together. And we'll open and close the knees a few times like a butterfly, opening with a breath in if you're coordinating your breath, closing the knees as you exhale. And then next time the knees come together, we'll stay there. You can take your left ankle now, place it just above the knee on the right thigh. Take your left hand onto your thigh and gently press away. And then again, if you want more stretch, bringing the legs toward the body is how you're going to get there. So again, it could be a pillow, a firm pillow, preferably, or a firm blanket folded up, or a block under your foot. Could be a book, or could be a piece of firewood if you've got that handy. Or you can reach your left hand between your legs, right hand around the outside, bringing the knees in toward the body, and then maybe doing a little side-to-side movement to engage and release a little that stretch. Right, and then coming back to the center, releasing the foot if you've lifted it. You'll then cross the legs further. So we're bringing knee over knee now, thighs touching. And then if it's available to you, if it's comfortable, you can reach behind your thighs or reach for the front knee. And you can always use a belt if you've got one handy to extend your arm. Sometimes even a sock is enough just to get a little bit of an extra length in your arms. It really depends on the proportions of your arms and how much stiffness is in the hips, whether this is an easy reach or an impossible reach or somewhere in between. So take a couple more breaths here. And then when you're ready, you can release the feet to the floor, uncross your legs. And again, we'll butterfly the knees open and closed a few times. If you want to coordinate your breathing, inhale as you open the knees, exhale as you close them. And then letting the knees come apart, soles of the feet together. If it's comfortable for you to stay here for a few breaths, you can stay. If you want to use some support, it could be a couple of blankets rolled up under your thighs or pillows or whatever's handy. If you've got blocks and you want to use them, that's an option as well. Hands can rest on your body, on the floor, either beside you or a little higher if you want to feel more expanded and open. We'll take a few more breaths here. When you're ready, slowly bring the knees together. And walk the feet slightly apart. Lift the arms up towards the ceiling. Circle your wrists around. Go one way and then the other. And then give the arms a shake, let the wrists be relaxed. And then we'll reach hands for opposite elbows. So you're making a little shape of a square over top of your chest. And as your knees go one way now, you can let the head and the elbows gently move the other way. And then you'll come back to the center and switch. So knees go in the opposite direction from your head and arms. If it feels like too much twist for you, you can choose to do just one or the other. You can just work with the upper body, or you can release the arms and just work with the lower body. Great. And then coming back to the center, we'll open the arms wide. Big breath in, exhale, cross the arms over your chest, give yourself a hug. Take a couple of breaths here. And then we'll cross with the other arm on top, so you'll open wide again, breathing in. As you exhale, crossing the arms the other way over your chest, staying there for a few breaths. And then releasing the arms again. We'll bring them down to the sides. You can bring both knees again into the chest. Bring your hands over your shins or onto your knees. A little side-to-side movement, massaging, releasing the lower back, giving it a little length. And then forward and back, hands on the knees again. So knees away with a breath in, knees towards you as you exhale. And then let's release the feet to the floor. We'll roll over onto one side. Use your opposite hand against the ground to support you to lift upright. And we'll come right over onto all fours, so into tabletop position. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And if you want a little padding for your wrists, if it feels like a lot of pressure, sometimes rolling up the end of your mat and placing your hands, the heel of your hands on that roll can be helpful. Or being up on your fists, you can take breaks as you need to. So here we'll lift the head, lift the tail, come into an arched position, and then exhale, round the back, tuck your chin in, coming into the cat pose, and then arching into the cow position, rounding into the cat position. And if you like, you can add child's pose here. So you'll arch with your inhale, and then instead of just rounding with your exhale, you can move your hips back towards your heels. Child's pose. Back up to all fours. And back to child's pose. Either version for a few more breaths, a few more rounds. And then explore a little different movement here. Maybe it's a side-to-side kind of movement with your hips. Maybe it's a circular movement going back towards your heels. Circling one way and the other. Great. And then when you come back to the center, we'll take the knees a little wider apart. And then as long as it's comfortable for you to bring your hips back, you can bring your hips back to the heels. If not, you're going to stay a little more upright and just bring your weight down onto your elbows. If you're comfortable with your hips moving further back, if that's okay with your knees and ankles, you'll move back. And you want to have your knees wide enough that your belly is between your legs. It's not resting on your thighs. And that way we can really let the belly soften and relax and drop down. So you'll come down into frog pose. The head could rest on your hands or on the ground. If you need a little more support, you could stack your hands with fists to bring your head onto them. And then the idea here is softening the belly. So breathing into that softened belly, breathing into the space all around the belly and lower back. And as you exhale, soften and let go wherever you can. So wherever there's tension in the body, if you can soften and let that go here, do that on your exhale. And if there's tension that you can't let go of, you may want to adjust your pose. You may have come into the pose a little more deeply than suits your body right now. Sometimes adding some padding, so it could be a blanket or a pillow just to rest the chest or belly on here might be helpful. You can play around a little bit to find the position that you can really relax in, and we'll stay for a few more breaths here. So if you need to or want to adjust, you've still got some time. And of course, if your body says that it's had enough of this pose, you'll just come out of it at any time. You can go back to all fours and do a little of that cat-cow movement. Exhaling, letting go of any tension that you're able to let go. And then when you're ready, we're going to make our way back upright. If you've got something you've been lying on, you can move it aside, bring the knees in, and come back to all fours. And do a little more movement here. So whether that was the cat-cow that you were enjoying, or all fours to child's pose, or some circles for the hips, whatever would feel good. And then whenever you're ready, we're going to make our way into a standing position. So you can do that either by bringing your feet under you from here and lifting up, or first coming into a squat. You're going to end up in a standing forward bend. So however you want to get there, you can bring your elbows up onto your thighs, let your head release down. Keep a good bend in your knees here. Take a few breaths in this position. If it's more comfortable for you to be a little higher up, that's great too. And you can release the arms and slowly uncurl to stand. And when you come upright, let's lift and roll the shoulders back and down. And do that a few times. And then try rolling the shoulders alternating. Let the hips swing, let the head go, knees soften and bend. Great, and then coming back to the center. So work with a half squat now. It's called Ardha, which means half Utkatasana, which is the squat. So we're just going to be coming partway down in that squat. So lift up with the breath in. As you exhale, bend your knees. You can bring your hands to your thighs and Sit as though you're sitting in a high stool, lifting up and sitting down. This time we'll stay for a couple of breaths. So when you're staying, you want to have a little bit of arch in the back so the chest is lifted, hips moving back, knees as much over the ankles as possible. So rather than being sort of forward and rounded here, you want to think knees back, hips back, a little lift in your tail, a lift in the heart. And then if you want to work harder, lift your arms either out in front somewhere or overhead. If you still want to work harder, sink down a little lower. And let's lift all the way up and release. Reaching up with the arms, coming all the way up. Bring the hands together over your head and then into your heart. And let's pause here for a moment and come back to our theme. So our theme today is about releasing what no longer serves us. We don't want to focus on the negative completely here, but you could bring to mind something that you'd like to let go of, something you'd like to release. Again, it could be a person, it could be a relationship, it could be an object. It could be a way that you talk to yourself, right? Anything you're just ready to let go of, you're ready to release. Feel your heels go down, your thighs engage, your heart lift. And from here, we'll lift the arms up. And like the trees shedding their leaves as you exhale, imagine your foliage releasing around you, letting go of that which no longer serves you. Hands back to the heart, lifting. Big breath in, and as you exhale, you're releasing, symbolically letting go, releasing out what you no longer need. And one more time. Great. Turning the palms out now, lifting to about shoulder height. Palms up towards the ceiling, arms reaching out. Circle the wrists here. If you feel strain in your shoulder, lower the arms, bend the elbows a little. Circle one way, then the other. And then reach out, palms forward, fingers spread. We're going to take a big breath in and reach back a little. And then exhale, reach across, opposite shoulders. Elbows sink down. You can round your upper back a little bit here and lower your head down. And then let your elbows gently swing from side to side, inviting some space into the upper back. And then coming to the center, notice which arm is on top. You'll open wide again, take the arm back, open the chest, and then cross over the other way. Head down. Again, you can round the upper back a little bit and rock a little side to side here. Great, and then opening the arms wide. And exhale to release. So we're going to come back into that half squat and we're going to add on a little bit to it. So it is going to become a balanced pose. We're working towards a pose like eagle pose, sort of variation on eagle. And so if you feel that you want to have a chair nearby to hold on to, you can do that, but I encourage you to try balancing as much as possible without the support of something except if you need it, if you feel like you're going to fall over. And you can always modify to add a little more support in the pose itself. So we'll start with a breath in, reaching the arms up. And then as you exhale, take the arms to the sides now and bend the knees. So we're coming into that half squat. And we're going to take the weight onto one foot. It doesn't matter which. So take the weight onto one foot, and you can lift the other leg up and bring it over. So thigh over thigh, and then the toes can actually come to the ground, and that's going to give you lots of support for balance. If I show you from the side, my knees are both bent. Right? So we're in that half squat as if we're sitting in a stool with the legs crossed. So you could lift that foot if that feels good for you, if you can balance there. Otherwise, just keep the toes on the ground. Whichever leg is on top, the opposite arm comes on top. You can come to the shoulders, let your elbows sink down. And then either stay here, or if you know the eagle arms and it's comfortable for you, you can bring the backs of the hands towards each other. Tuck your bottom hand under the thumb side of your front hand. And maybe sink down a little more. So you've been here a while now, your legs may be feeling it. I'm going to release the arms, lift, and release down. Come back to mountain pose. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, sink into your feet. Feel your roots go down, the trunk, the crown, lifting. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, arms to the side as you come back to the half squat. We're going to do the other side now. So you're going to lift up onto the toes of that foot, find your balance, cross over. Again, foot can hover or touch. Whichever leg is on top, opposite arm winds across. You can stay here with the arms or come into the eagle arms. Maybe sink a little lower if that feels good for you. If you want to work a little more here, keep the chest lifting, just as we did in the half squat. So a little lift in the tail, a little lift in the heart. If you lose your balance, you can always bring your toes down, or if you lose your balance the other way, you just come back into the pose. When you're ready, lifting the knee, lifting the arms, and coming back down. Big breath in, exhale, sink into your heels. Lift through the trunk. And imagine the crown of your head opening like the crown of a tree in this beautiful fall foliage. Getting ready to release. Let's bring the hands to the heart. And same thing, lifting and releasing. This time we'll add a forward bend. Soften your knees, reach down toward the ground. Let your head release. And then inhale and lift all the way back up. And bring the hands back together to the heart. So repeat that a few more times. Inhaling to lift. Exhaling, big circle. Inhaling all the way up. And exhale, back to the heart. Taking whatever it is that you'd like to release, even if you don't know what that is yet, having the intention that whatever you don't need, you could release, like those beautiful fall leaves, growing more beautiful as they come to the end of their life, releasing to the earth where they become compost, making way for what's new and fresh in the spring. Do that one more time. This time, if you feel comfortable staying in the forward bend, you can go ahead and stay. Keep your knees soft, head really relaxing so the back of the neck is long. If you're more comfortable, elbows on thighs, be in that position, or hands on thighs even. If you're comfortable hanging forward from the hips, you might enjoy crossing your arms and creating a little weight with your arms, a little traction for your spine. You're ready to come up. You'll lift all the way up with a breath in. Like we're gathering energy back into the heart, renewing. Pausing here for a moment. We're going to next make our way down onto the mat. Coming to sit. You can get down there however you like. If you want to give yourself a little challenge to get down and just be careful, make sure there's nothing you're going to hit your head on behind you. You can cross your ankles, bend, and come down either without hands or using your hands to support you. But however you want to get down is perfectly great. So when you get there, you can take the feet out in front, lean back on your hands a little, and give your legs a shake. And then we'll bend the knees so the feet are flat on the floor, a little wider than your shoulders. And then rocking the knees side to side. So you can bring the knees toward the ground, or if you want to bring them right to the ground, you might lift that back arm a little so it's not twisting the shoulder in any way that might be uncomfortable for you. So small or big movement side to side. It's up to you what feels good. You could also add a wee twist here, lifting the back arm, swinging it around, bringing it behind you, and looking over your back shoulder, and then swinging around the other way. Knees come down, arm comes around. Hands press to lift the spine as you turn. And maybe one more to each side. Beautiful. And coming back to the center. Let's stretch the legs out. Give them a little shake. And then we'll bring one knee in toward the body. We'll let that knee go to the side. Now you may want to support that knee with either, really whatever you've got handy. It could be a blanket, a pillow, a block, even rolling up part of your mat may be helpful to support that knee. So whatever works for you if you need it. And then the leg that's long, the toes are pointing toward the ceiling. I don't think you can see them on the screen, but my leg is engaged, toes pointing up. And we're going to lift the arms up with a breath in. And without rounding the back, just bring the hands down onto the leg wherever they reach. And then we'll lift with a breath in, lifting the heart. Exhale, slide forward with a long spine. And then lift again, lifting the heart. Slide forward with a long spine. You may have reached your limit already, so pause wherever your body says that's enough. More would feel like a strain. And then you can allow the back to soften. Maybe the hands come to the ground, the head releases down, and we'll take a few breaths here. So there's nowhere you're trying to get to. It's not like you want to get your head to your knee or hold on to your foot or anything like that. It's really, where does my body want to relax into this pose? What shape does my body want to make that feels really good here? And if you can't find a shape that feels good, adjust. Come out of the pose, maybe stretch that leg out if that knee is bothering you, or make the pose your own in whatever way you need to. So when you're ready, we'll lift up, if you haven't already, reaching up and then releasing. Stretching that leg out. Give both legs a little shake. And then other knee, drawing in. We'll release it to the side. Again, any padding you might need under the thigh or the knee to support that leg. Make sure you've got what you need to be comfortable. Sitting up nice and tall. Lifting up with a breath in. And exhale, bringing the hands forward onto the leg. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, forward. Inhale, lift and lengthen. If there's anywhere else to go, you can go a little more forward. Again, when you reach that comfortable limit, when your body says that's enough, more would be stressful, less would be boring. You're going to let your head release down. Again, you could brace your hands on the ground or on the leg. Soften and relax into your breath here. When you're ready to come up, you'll lift all the way up with the breath in. Exhale to release, sitting back. Stretch out the legs, give them a little shake. Right, for the next one, we're going to make a shape like a diamond with the legs by slightly bending the knees, bringing the soles of the feet together, and quite a wide shape here. So we're not bringing the knees or the heels in as close as possible, but leaving lots of space here. And bring the hands forward between your legs, lift the spine tall, breathing in, and as you exhale, you can walk the hands forward. Now you might just stay here with your hands braced against the ground. You might want some support under the knees. So whatever you need, please take the time to set yourself up here. If it feels comfortable for you and your body will allow, you could come right down onto your elbows, tucking your hands underneath your ankles so that the palms of your hands rest against the tops of your feet. So, yeah, I think that's all on the screen there. And then letting your head relax forward. So you come into this round back position of the turtle pose, Kurmasana, the turtle. And breathing here. As long as you're comfortable, we'll stay for several breaths. You certainly come out of this pose anytime you need to. And as you go inward, focusing on the breath, softening with each exhale, releasing any tension that no longer serves you. But we always have a certain amount of tension in the body just to stay upright or to be in various positions, but we often carry around so much more tension than we actually need. So can you release what no longer serves you here? Relax the tension that you don't need. When you're ready to come out of the pose, you'll lift up slowly. Bringing the knees in. And we're going to come to lie down on the mat. So you can use your core muscles if you like to roll down slowly, or you can come down onto your elbows first and then come down if you feel that you need a little more support. When you get to the ground, bring your feet in so that your heels line up under your knees. Put your hands onto your belly for a moment. So we'll work just a little bit with the breath at first and a little bit of a pelvic tilt. As you inhale, feel your belly perhaps expand with the breath. And then as you exhale, press down into your feet until your lower back flattens, the pelvis tilts back a little bit. And then you can tilt the pelvis to create a bit of arch, a little space under your back. You might be able to even slide your hand under there. And then exhale, flatten out that space, pressing down into the feet, down into the back. So it's a little rocking movement. Inhale, arching, just like cat-cow really, only we're upside down now, or turned around. And then when you're ready for the next stage, if you'd like to move on to the next stage, you're welcome to just stay with that simple movement. You can otherwise bring your hands and arms to the ground and just let them relax on the ground a little away from you. And then as you press down into your feet and your lower back moves into the earth, you're going to keep pressing into your feet and slowly peel your spine up off the ground. So you're lifting slowly, coming up, and then slowly releasing down. Don't worry about how your breath is for this movement. Just breathe normally and let the body lift and lower at a pace that feels comfortable. If you like, you can stay in the bridge pose, the hips lifted. You might imagine the top line of your body growing long from your shoulders to your knees. So you're reaching the knees away. It doesn't matter how high the hips are. You can imagine the body coming into a straight line from knees to shoulders, but that may not be exactly what it looks like for you. You feel the backs of your legs and backs of your hips, your buttocks engage. And when you're ready, we'll slowly release and lower down. Once you reach the ground, bring your knees up in towards your body and move the knees forward and back. You could coordinate with your breath if you like. So inhale, knees away. Exhale, knees draw in. And then maybe circle the knees or rock a little bit side to side if you like. Find whatever movement would feel good to you. And then give yourself a little hug. Knees can be together or apart, holding there. And slowly releasing your feet to the ground. Stretch your legs out. Taking the arms, stretching them overhead and growing long like someone's reaching for your ankles and drawing them away from your hips, reaching for your wrists and drawing them away from your shoulders. One more big breath. And then as you exhale, you release the arms down to your sides. You can either just let the feet fall out to the sides here and prepare for Shavasana for our relaxation. Or if you prefer, you can bend your knees. Maybe take the feet a little wider, let the knees fall together. Or any other position that might be more comfortable for you. It may be a rolled blanket or a bolster under your knees. Perhaps you want a pillow or a blanket under your head. So whatever you need to do to get as comfortable as possible for Shavasana, take your time. And if you prefer to do the end of the class, the relaxation, as a seated meditation, you're most welcome to come to sit for that. Otherwise, taking your time to adjust, to be comfortable. Making the little minor adjustments to feel good in your body so that you can really relax and sink down into the support of the ground. And then come back to your breath. Let the breath come and go without your interference. It's simply your awareness. And have a sense of, as you exhale, you're releasing again whatever it is that no longer serves you. It could be some specific thing or just that general idea, I release what no longer serves me. I give it back to the world where it might be used as compost, like the leaves that fall on the forest floor. When we release the old leaves, the old stuff that doesn't work for us anymore, it's no longer necessary, we leave space for new life. When we release the breath, we leave space for new breath. Exhaling fully. You can even pause for a moment at the end of your exhale and then allow the inhale to fill you with new life. There's no need to breathe in any special way. You may want to observe that little pause at the end of the exhale if that's comfortable. Otherwise, just being aware of your breath as it is. Let go of any tension around the jaw. Soften the throat and the neck. And allow the muscles of your face to let go. Let go of any tension. Let go of the mask that you wear for the world, literally and figuratively. Soften around your eyes, your nose, your mouth, across your forehead. And as you exhale, relax the jaw, neck, and shoulders again. Feel your shoulders sink down into the earth, away from the ears. Let your arms soften and relax, and let the hands be just naturally curled the way the hands are when they're completely relaxed. Let the upper back sink down, the chest open with each breath and relax with each exhalation. And let your belly be soft, letting go of gripping or holding in the abdomen. Even more letting go. Soften and relax the hips, all around the pelvis, front, the back, the sides. Soften, exhale, and drop down with the thighs. See if you can bring a little more ease into your knees. And then drop through the calves. Let go with the shins. Release the ankles. Relax your feet right to your toes. Exhale, soften even more wherever you've noticed tension creeping back in. With each exhalation, let go, release, soften, and drop down. As always, if you want to stay a little longer in Shavasana, you're welcome to ignore me or turn off the recording or leave the Zoom if you're live. And if you're ready to start to move back into your day, you can start to deepen your breath a little bit, bringing new life, fresh energy into the body, like springtime, renewal. Breathing in and feeling that expansion, feeling the life re-enter your body. And then gradually wiggle your fingers and toes, move and stretch in any way that would feel good to your body. Take your time. And whenever you're ready, if you're ready to come upright, you can roll onto one side, come slowly back to sit. And once more, let's bring the hands together at the heart. So when we let go, when we release what we no longer need, we make room for what's new. And we'll do our little gesture. It's called Avahanam, giving and receiving. Palms turn down, backs of the hands together, fingers roll in, and then releasing, letting go. Like we're just dropping what we no longer need. Making space to draw in, backs of the hands together, fingers down, rolling around and back to the heart, bringing in what we've made space for by releasing what we no longer need, what no longer serves us. Namaste.